We could have had the Lions maybe hang around for a little while, just so we could actually overlap and then send a few guys home. I don't know. Maybe we could have done that, but yeah. Overall,
I think we could have done that, mate. And India play more A-grade cricket. I'm calling it A-grade. I don't even know if that's what it's called. But they play a lot of India A cricket around the world and get their next crop of players or guys that are in and out playing cricket at the next level of highest quality they can do against teams all around the world. Whereas we go to Australia and we play one Lions game. That's an absolute waste of airfares and hotel bills. We've got to look at it. Not just, I represented the Lions. We've got to look at it as a pathway. You play county cricket. Yeah. You're good enough at county cricket. You can come and play Lions cricket, and you're going to go and play 3 test matches in India because that's where we are. You're going to play 3 test matches in New Zealand because that's where we are. Yeah. And everyone will benefit from that. Even if they're not playing against New Zealand A, even if they're playing against Auckland, they're playing in Auckland. Even if they're playing against Gujarat, they're playing in Gujarat. Yeah. So play against that domestic team and give guys more options in their, they've got a bag of tools when they go into test match cricket. What have you got? Well, I've got this tool. I've got this tool. Well, actually, if we do this and we have a pathway, and this is just talking at the kind of elite level, well, actually, I had an India A tour and I played there. I played franchise cricket in Sri Lanka. So I played some T20 cricket there. I did a Lions tour over in Australia. And underneath that, guys that are identified in this system, and they've got to be identified early. What are you doing this winter? Who's in charge of that conversation of head of youth development for English cricket and goes, hey, Mr. 17-year-old, we think you're going to be good enough to play for England one day, or we think you're highly touted. What's your plans? What are you doing fitness-wise? Well, do you want to go to Australia this winter and play? We can hook you up with the club because we've got contacts. Take ownership of your whole structure and your players underneath it. There's a lot of sense. Got their own individual drive to go and do it.
Yeah, everything you said there is spot on, mate. And there's so much sense in it as well. And it just frustrates that it doesn't seem like England place the same emphasis on it. It shouldn't be county to test match necessarily, should it? It should be county to Lions to test match. Yep. That should be the stepping stone process. Clearly, county to test match just isn't working. We're going to be looking for the next opener soon, aren't we? Let's take the example of a Jake Libby. He's probably about 28, 29 now. How much Lions has he played? I don't know. Is my absolute answer, but I don't think it's a hell of a lot. It certainly wasn't when he was at Notts. Ben Slater, who was at Notts, another opener, somebody in the background maybe, who's got some talent, a bit of a late developer as well, a bit like Jake Libby. Have we identified him in any way that's getting him into the right situations and getting the right experiences? Because going from breaking in, establishing yourself into county quite late to then suddenly jump in a test match, you're not going to have had all these really positive experiences because you weren't a big enough name to get the exposure in order to get the Big Bash contract or the IPL contract to get that experience through franchise. So there has to be a way where we're utilising under-19s, Lions, etc., doing the tours. And what more sense could there be than when England are touring a country, a Lions tour also is going on at the same time? You don't need to have fans and great stadiums and all the rest of it. You just need to be on good cricket pitches against good opposition, first-class opposition, representative opposition. We've got 3 test matches in West Indies coming up. Are we taking a Lions tour out there? Why
Probably
not if we're not? Yeah, why not if we're not? If Saki Mahmood, for example, is not in this next squad for the next test squad, why not? And if he's not, why can't he be somewhere getting experience at the same time? These are the players that should be the future of England in a not too distant future. There's some batsmen in there as well. We need batsmen ready to go very soon because we're gonna need them.
We're going to run out. It's just ownership of your game, England. Take ownership of your structure. We'll get onto the structure in a second. Take ownership of your player pathway. This is how you do it. You look at rugby, and New Zealand's got a very basic structure. You play club rugby, and then you might go on to play Mitre. It's called Mitre 10, or used to be called Mitre 10 rugby, which is like the provincial rugby. So I represent Auckland or North Harbour or Waikato. From there, the best players get picked to play for 6 franchises. Not saying England should have franchises, but the county level part of the game, there's the next step up, and the best players from that go on and play for the All Blacks. It's just this is the pathway to the top. And in English cricket, there's just a huge gap. Now, Jonathan Agnew has come forward and had some comments about this, Rich. And we won't spend forever on it, but it is worth talking about because it's
another day, definitely,
of English cricket. So county cricket should be the lifeblood of our game. It's there to provide and drive the England Test team to be the best in the world, which it previously has been. And given the financial infrastructure and resources and player pools that we've actually got available to us, we should be able to provide high quality cricket, high quality players, and play at a world class level. Now, since 2015, when we had a debacle down in Australia and New Zealand with the Cricket World Cup, white ball's been the priority, and we've created the best white ball team that's probably, it's up there with the West Indies and maybe the Aussie team as well. It's the best white ball team around at the moment. Now, KP caused a bit of friction when he came out and said that franchise cricket should be a thing. If England want to get better, they need franchise cricket, less teams, drafts, overseas players coming in, create a real high quality level like you get in T20. And I think the world's a great place because everyone's allowed an opinion. And I think everyone is, I think we're naive if we don't put everything on the table to work out what the best outcome is. Jonathan Agnew has gone again on this. His has changed. His view, essentially, I'm going to paraphrase what's quite a long article on the BBC, is there's 800 teams in commission at the moment, and they play in the 100 competition. His viewpoint is that should be increased to 10 and have 10 city-based franchise teams that work off a draft process.
And is this, sorry, just to clarify, is this for a 4-day cricket?
This is for 4-day cricket in England. It might not necessarily have the same players as 100, but it could use the same system. It's very controversial, especially for someone from Agnew, who I'd probably say is more of a cricket traditionalist. I can't bookmark him with that, but I would say he's someone that probably holds some core heritage values to the game. What are your thoughts on KP? And what are your thoughts on Jonathan Agnew's approach?
Right. Right. I'm not going to take too long on this because I think we need to come back another day and dedicate a podcast as we start look towards the summer. There's a lot of structure conversations to be had. First and foremost, you need 18 county chairmen, county boards to sign off any of these proposals.
True.
So you're going to basically need 8 of those to say we're going to consign ourselves to history. We're going to become minor counties in effect. So it's not happening, in my opinion, at the moment. I've got no problem to a point with players coming or people coming out and suggesting different formats. But I don't think it's helpful. We became a brilliant white ball nation. That was from counties, wasn't it? The 100 only came up last year. So was that not
Correct.
From counties?
Correct. From the blast.
So why is suddenly everything that's wrong the county's fault?
Yeah.
You know, everything at fault is a county fault. So what about the fact that we don't prepare well for test series? What about that we don't select players for the right players? You know, let's work it back a little bit. What about the fact that we don't focus on Lions? What about the pathway? What about the fact that we seem to identify players and just stick militantly with these certain players as we go through? And this is what happens going into the county setup, let alone what's coming out of the county towards England. We forget other players left, right, and centre because we're so focused on certain individuals that don't always make it at the other end. There's so many other things. The franchise idea for me is not helpful. I don't think that's going to be the way to go. We're not going to rip up all these years and years of tradition and just go to a franchise system for all forms of cricket. If they want to do it for the 100, if they want to do it to a big bash version, you know, a T20, do that franchise. I ain't got a problem with that. I'm not precious about Trent Rockets or becoming, you know, or Knox Outlaws becoming Trent Rockets or whatever. But 4-day cricket, come on now. I just don't think it's helpful. And I think people are swinging to the extreme, aren't they, to try and find the right answer. You know, if things are so bad, suddenly we're panicking, we're rushing a bit. And, you know, God love Agger's the big posho, but that's not for me. It's not a setup that I would think will improve. I mean, what benefit? I mean, if we got a system, you know, I think you suggested it a few weeks ago, Rob, 3 divisions, 6 teams each. It's all about getting the best players to the top. It doesn't matter what those teams are called. So get the best players to the top. Notts have done a fantastic thing for county cricket this year. James Pattinson. is coming back into county cricket, and he's coming in on an English passport. So we could hopefully get an overseas player with him as well.
Yeah.
That's the sort of bowler that English batsmen need to be facing week in, week out. It's attracting players of that standard to county cricket to make the standard better. It's getting the groundsmen to provide and getting the counties to agree that we need to produce pitches that are more conducive to having to knuckle down and play some serious 4-day to the daylight fading on the 4th day cricket, instead of these 3.5 day result pitches all the time. And the lack of quality players. It's great to see some of these county players till the late 30s. And Darren Stevens is an extreme because he's still contributing at the top level. But there is a lot of players in county cricket that aren't helping anybody, probably not even themselves. You know, they probably could be cracking on with another career at some point. But we need to weed out a little bit and get that standard better. Now, how we do that, again, that's another massive conversation. But I don't see how franchise is going to be a silver bullet to solve all the problems. It's about getting the best players on the best surfaces, playing against each other and bringing out the best of each other. And like the Australian system, they understand if I miss out here, I'm not going to bat again for a while.
Yeah,
you know, that's why Sheffield Shield was always revered as such a great setup. That's the key for me. It's not about rebranding and all this nonsense. All that's going to do is bring in a load more money. The game's got enough money as it is. It doesn't need any more money. It needs to know what it's doing with the money and invest it properly into the counties and the county structure.
Yeah, the I can't remember the actual number, and it might be 1 or 2 off here, but it's about 1.3 billion TV deal they get for Test match cricket. So red ball cricket is worth a lot to the English game. So yeah, I like this. Three divisions, 10 games, 6 teams in each division, promotion, relegation. Games split across the summer, I still think is necessary. I think you need some at the start before you get into the start of the English Test match scene to give people warm-ups. But then the majority of them are during the middle period of the summer. Chris, I want to say it's Chris Harris from Leicester, made a really, really good point on this, going, it's all well and good having the cricket, but the groundsmen haven't got enough time to prepare the grounds. You need about 10 days. And again, these numbers, I'm not a groundsman. This is just what we're seeing online. You need about 10 days to create a real high quality first-class wicket. They get about 2 days. And the best wickets are put aside for white ball, TV games, and things like that. So there's the overarching stuff. But I think if you just look at red ball cricket, what makes it better? A couple of overseas players per team, increase the quality. And then essentially what you're doing is you've got 9 players, potentially English players from 6 teams playing at the highest quality cricket in the country. That's really good. There's meaningful games because if you had 2 up, 2 down, you know, teams 3rd and 4th in the division are always playing for something. They're playing to try and win the league, or they're trying to avoid relegation. It just creates meaningful cricket, which I feel is really missed. It was missing during the 18-team era. After a while, this is 18 teams. Then it went to the 9 and 9 and the 10 and the 8. The 10 and the 8 still gets lost. The COVID era of county championship cricket, where it gave us the 6, 6 and 6 in the group stages, that provided just every game seemed to matter, and it needs to be more like that.
Yeah, it's a start, isn't it? I think that's the, you know, if someone turned around and said, okay, we're going to have 6 franchise teams, well, that's basically what we're going to have. We're going to have the 6 teams are in there, and theoretically they should become the best teams over a period of time. There's more movement between counties now than there ever used to be. Traditionally, it would be that you just get stuck, and depending on who your young players were or who your overseas players were, that's the only difference. But it's not like that anymore. Players are moving left, right, and centre. So theoretically, you should be able to move those players up to the top. And unfortunately, for some counties, that's just what's going to happen. But then it should give opportunity to younger players. They need to be incentivized to play the younger players. I don't want to see older players kicked to the curb just for the sake of it. If they hit 26 and they haven't quite made it, I don't want to see them gone. But there needs to be a bit of an incentive to get younger players in over, you know, players that are 30, 32. I don't want to say 31 because Scott Boland's 31, and let's not overlook someone like Scott Boland, because if England have got him somewhere, as someone pointed out to me, Luke Fletcher maybe. Where's our Scott Boland? Maybe it's Luke Fletcher. Get him in. But there's got to be, I don't know, there's loads of ideas you could use. There's loads of things you could try and tweak, and everybody will have their opinions. I'm really looking forward to speaking to people in positions around county cricket. You know, some people we know it'd be good to speak to, and other people that are really dialed in. I'd love to know what their opinions are on this. I don't think anybody has got the full answer, and that's really important. We certainly haven't. And I don't think the people at power, Tom Harrison and the ECB, have got the full answers at the moment, which is quite worrying because they're the ones paying themselves $2.5 million between them or whatever as a bonus. But we need a really grown-up conversation about this. And whilst it's good to have different ideas thrown in the mix, the likes of KP and Aggers are not helping the conversation, in my opinion. They're taking it off in a different direction, which is too distracting. KP was trying to point to how great county cricket was when he was playing. Was it amazing when he was hitting 355 against Leicestershire for Surrey? Was that a great standard of cricket, KP? No, it wasn't. He's just blowing smoke up where he always blows smoke up. He doesn't help any conversation, KP. You know my opinions of him. The best player I have seen at county level when he was coming through at Trent Bridge. I loved him for England for a number of years. But the shtick of KP wore thin with me over a number of years of him playing his own game all the time and never, ever accommodating the game situation or the team. And the way he's been off the field, I will never like the man, but I loved the player. Off the field, he just strikes me as one of those people that wants to get the attention. And he's going to throw out any ridiculous idea or any whatever the opposite is of whatever Strauss and Cook might be saying, he'll be throwing out there to try and get his name chucked back in the middle of things. And I don't think it's helpful. But I'll go for your structure, Rob. I'll pay you a couple of million to
take my structure. I'll take that. I am going to say about KP, I feel when you've hit rock bottom where England are at, and I think about this at work as well, no option or no idea is a bad idea. Everything should be on the table, and the more people who think differently to you can create different conversations, and the outcome might not be what I said, the outcome might not be what KP said or Aggers said, but the more people that come up with ideas, something will be molded that won't work in the middle of it.
That's always the compromise is always the wrong decision. So it needs to be bold, it needs to be a little bit different, it needs to be out there, it needs to be brave. But I just don't think we're going to get anything of any benefit from franchise that we can't get from counties if we look at the structure correctly and all the other things we spoke about. The 100 for me is such a waste of time because no other cricket country in the world will adopt the 100 because IPL Big Bash is so successful. T20 is. We could have just rebranded and franchised the Big Bash, the Vitality Blast in England, and I think it would have been a fantastic success. And I think that would have been the way to do it. And it means we wouldn't have had this huge thing lumped in the middle of the summer that's getting in the way of the 4-day game. That's not to say that's not raising the standard, but it's raising the standard of white ball cricket in a format. That's not helping county cricket as a whole and 4-day cricket and test cricket. It's just the 100 is a massive issue, and I don't know how they overcome the issue. They're not going to get out of it because they've got at least another couple of years, haven't they? And they're being paid far too much money to even consider moving on from it. But it's a shocker. It really is when you consider everything else. In isolation, it might not be the worst thing that's ever been invented. But when you think of the impact it's having on that calendar in the summer and test cricket, it's a shocker.
Let us know what you guys think about this. I think that's really important. We're chewing the fat, kind of going, this is what we think might work. This is what we think good is going to look like. And we've taken that from a domestic structure, how we think the championship might work, player pathways to trying to become international cricketers and what the lines look like. Let us know what you guys think. Maybe you're in favour of Kevin Pietersen and Jonathan Agnew's kind of view of the world. I can't see it working with the county structures and their votes being relevant unless there's a complete breakaway in the game.